just because we had a COVID outbreak where my office is. So I'm still getting over it, but feeling much better. I just have that nagging cough. So hope you will bear with me tonight. I've got cough drops and water, so I should be set. Um, so we do this every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Come prepared with your questions, training questions, behavior questions, um, and we can talk about them. And I will try to answer as many questions as I can. Also, when you log on, please put your name and where you're from so that I can enter you into the drawing for the free bag of Pup for Treats. On my end, it just says Facebook user. So in order to get entered into the drawing, you have to put just your name and what state you're from. And then I will write your name down and then we will do a drawing at the end. So I apologize if I cough tonight. Hopefully this is the last part of the COVID. So, but I still have that kind of nagging cough. Hi, Kayla. We've got Kayla from Gilbert, Arizona. Kayla, did we talk about this last time that I've actually lived in Arizona for 2 years, and we almost we're gonna live in Gilbert. Diana from Utah. Diana, what part of Utah are you from? The only reason I'm asking is because that's where I'm from. I'm coming to you from Camas, Utah. If you know where Camas is. I'm going to write down some names for a second, and then I will get to your questions. Okay, we got Amanda from Montana. Michelle from South Dakota. Okay. Oh, Jennifer, I was just going to answer your question, but let me write your name down first so I don't forget. Okay, let's see. And I gotta scroll back up. Maryland. Okay. My dog aggressively barks at other dogs when we are sitting down outside. When we walk by them, he is fine. What can I do? So, so are you just sitting outside and other dogs are walking by? So your dog's stationary. There's a couple things like he could be being territorial over his home. Like if you're outside and dogs are walking by. But basically, I do the same thing. So let's say that you are. I sometimes I'll have clients just sit on the porch and practice on the porch, and so you get your dog a ton of treats, and then if you can get neighbors or somebody to help you, have them walk a dog by and do the look at that exercise. So when your dog looks at the other dog, you click and treat. Now I do use a clicker for this because I want the dog to hear the click and learn to disengage from the dog and look at you like, okay, I heard the clicker, where's my treat? So dog walks by, your dog just looks at the dog, stays calm, click and treat. Now, if your dog starts to bark, then that means your dog is too close. So you either have to increase distance or have the person helping you increase distance. If you're like on your porch so you can't back up any further, then have the other dog maybe go on the other side of the street. So um, so we're basically doing two things. We're pairing other dogs with treats. So it's like, oh, when I see other dogs walking by, I get treats. And we're teaching the dog a different behavior, something else that we want them to do. So instead of barking at the dog, we're teaching them to just notice the dog, stay calm, and get rewarded for that. Then you can slowly start to decrease distance. So then you can have the person maybe go one step closer. You don't want to go too close too fast because that can put your dog over threshold. But just like one step closer, walk by, do the same thing. So um, you can try that. So it's basically teaching your dog like, okay, I don't mind it when when dogs walk by my house because really good things happen and I get super yummy treats. You always want to try and teach your dog something else to do. So you can do like the look at that where they just notice the dog. You can teach them a watch me where they focus on you instead of the other dog. Um, like just some kind of default behavior that you can then reward. So hopefully that answered your question. um, okay, let me write a few more names down. We've got Sammy from Ohio. We've got Jane from New Jersey. Um, okay, my dog is super reactive towards unfamiliar people in the lobby of my building. It's hard to keep him below threshold to be able to reward him for calm behavior around people in the lobby. As soon as he spots someone, he is reactive, but only sometimes. Um, any tips for working with him on this? I've used clicker training to help him with reactivity toward bikes. Um, yeah, so I would do the same thing that you're doing with the bike. And I would start at a place where you can control um, the people. It sounds like in the lobby of a building, if you can't really control distances, then it's going to be harder. But you could do the same thing where you start from a distance and show your dog, oh, look, there's a stranger, click treat. There's a stranger, click treat. Um, you can also have, depending on where you work and how easy people are willing to help you, but you can have people kind of just walk by, toss treats to the dog. So just tell them don't stop, don't try to pet the dog, don't look at the dog. I want you to just walk by and toss treats to the dog. So in the dog's mind, it's when strangers come in, I get treats. So I don't know if that's something that you could do at work. If he's already over threshold, then the strangers are too close. So our goal is to always keep the dog under threshold. So that means you want to increase distance. So I don't know if there's a place you can go in your lobby where you can be clear on one side of the building and watching people come in. And as soon as your dog sees them, click treat. There's a stranger, click treat. And again, with the clicker, eventually the dog hears the click and learns to disengage, like, oh, I heard the clicker, where's my treat? Then that becomes the dog's default behavior where they look at a stranger, they disengage, oh, mom, there's a stranger, where's my treat? But you have to be able to control distances and environment in order for that to work. So it sounds like your dog's already over threshold. I would maybe practice at like a Home Depot or something first where it's bigger, the aisles are bigger, you can walk away if you need to um, before practicing it at your office building. Um, and then, let's see, what else was I going to say on that? Again, it's so important that we always keep the dog under threshold because once the dog is over threshold, they can't learn. And it could be that it's just too stimulating. If there's a lot of people coming in, a lot of unfamiliar people, if it's just too much stimulation for your dog, he's not going to be able to handle that. And then again, it depends on what the other people do as well. So, when I go into a home and a dog is barking at me, I will try to use calming signals that a dog would do. So, like, I look away, I'll toss treats without looking at the dog, um, turn sideways, things like that to calm the dog down. But if people come and walk right straight up to your dog, give direct eye contact, hard stare, that to a dog is a threat. And so sometimes people inadvertently don't know how to interact with reactive dogs, and so it can actually make them more reactive. Um, so yeah, I would give some of those things a try. Try to set it up on maybe a day when your building isn't as busy and you can control distances, things like that. Um, okay, thoughts on dog parks. What should you do prior to taking your new dog to one? How old? What they should know before? um, okay, I'm going to give you my spiel on dog parks. I personally don't like dog parks. Um, the reason is I've known people that take dogs there that have no business being there. So I will give you an example. Um, when I worked at the rescue, this was before I started, but we had a dog there that was extremely dog aggressive. Sweetest dog to people, which is one reason that she didn't get euthanized because she was so good with people and kids, but really bad with other dogs. And so I guess she got adopted once, and they told the new owners, this dog is very dog aggressive, can't go to dog parks, can't be around other dogs. They counseled them on it. Well, these people decided, oh, we'll just socialize her and we'll take her to a dog park. Well, she seriously injured 3 dogs. This is a dog that had been used as a bait dog in a dog fighting thing, and in a rural part of Utah, and so these people had absolutely no business taking this dog to a dog park. I've also seen other people. I have gone to dog parks with clients to work on certain things, and I've seen some fabulous dogs in dog parks. I know people who take their dogs all the time, and they love it, and they have a good time. Um, but I've seen a couple of other people who have very selective dogs, and so their dog can play with 4 out of 5 dogs, and then the 5th dog comes and the dog attacks it. And this can be very traumatizing for your dog if your dog does get attacked. And so that's why I personally don't go to them. Plus, I have pit bulls, and even though my dogs would never start anything, I trust my dogs um, totally with other dogs. But if there was an issue, my dogs would get blamed. So that's just a personal reason why I don't go. Um, if you do go, like I said, I've gone with some clients before, and I've seen dogs have a great time. I've seen dogs, playing really well. Um, so, excuse me. One thing that you want to do is always, always, always keep an eye on your dog. I see a lot of people that, they go let their dogs play and then they sit and drink their lattes and they're on their phone or they're talking and they're not paying attention to their dog. And if your dog is getting bullied by another dog or if your dog is not having fun, um, then you need to be watching that and you need to be your dog's advocate. So if you if you think, oh, it kind of looks like my dog's getting picked on or bullied or body slammed or rolled, then you need to go take your dog out. And so you need to be your dog's advocate. Um, so I would not take a dog there that's younger than 1 year old because they're still developing, and actually at one their brains are still developing too. But puppies that have a really bad experience at a dog park, it can affect them forever. If they get bullied at a dog park or if they get attacked at a dog park, it can have a lasting effect on them. So with puppies, I always tell people find another dog that's about the same size and age and set up a play date and let dogs play one on one or even in groups of three, and make sure it's a really positive, fun experience. It is so important that puppies have good experiences with other dogs. So I I don't like taking puppies to dog parks. So I would wait until your dog's a little bit older. Um, so other than what should you do prior to taking your dog, I mean, if you're gonna go, I would go and kind of watch from the outside and see, okay, what dogs are in the park? Do they look like they're playing okay? Are they listening to their owners? And if it looks okay, then you're probably okay to go in. But again, you want to really watch and make sure that your dog is having fun and not afraid. If your dog is fearful, is hiding behind your feet, then he's not having fun, and I would take him out um, and not force him. We don't ever want to force a dog to play with another dog if they don't want to. So that's kind of my spiel on dog parks. That was kind of a long answer, but I thought it was important. So um, okay, let me write down a few more names. We've got Tahila. I'm not sure I'm saying your name right, so I apologize, from LA. Um, Katie from Virginia just recently visited Utah St. George. Awesome. Yeah, St. George is way south. It's about 6 hour drive from where I'm at. Um, oh, Diana's from Bountiful. I know where Camus is. We have property in the UNs. Oh, lucky you. Yeah, the UNs are like my backyard. That's one of the reasons that I moved up to Camas was to be near the UNs, because after work I can be on a trail in 10 minutes. So I've done a lot of backpacking and hiking with my dogs up there. So it's beautiful. So um, yeah. Okay, Anita. Hi, Anita. Anita's been here almost every week, so I actually know where Anita is from. Um, okay, I bought a tug of war toy, which I hung from a tree, and my dog usually loves to play tug, but he is afraid of it. How can I overcome her fear? Um, it could just be because it's new and it's hanging. So when you say that your dog usually loves to play tug, um, has your dog played tug with something hanging from a tree before? Because that's what could be novel. So I would take it out of the tree first and kind of get your dog to play tug with it. Um, let your dog see that it's just a toy, and then maybe like just hold it up. Let your dog play tug with it. Hold it up a little bit farther, like from the tree, and then gradually get it up to where you're hanging it from the tree, so that your dog learns, oh, it's my same tug toy, it's just up on the tree. So I would take it down first, let your dog play with it on the ground, um, play tug, and then slowly like lift it up, until you can hang it back from the tree again. I would try that. Okay. I've got to get this scrolling. Okay. My 9-month-old female German Shepherd pees when she gets excited or scared. She was getting better, but she had her heat 2 months ago, and ever since she's gotten worse with her submissive urination. um, so let's see. It could be part of the well, let's see. So it's been 2 months since she's had her heat cycle. Um, and a lot of dogs will um, submissive pee or do excitement pee. Um, what I usually do is treat it just like regular potty training. Um, so when you catch her, then like just interrupt, take her outside, and say go potty outside. You can also teach her a different behavior. So if you teach her like proper greetings, so like how to be calm. So when somebody comes in the house, and instead of getting really excited and peeing, let's teach you to go lay on your mat, or let's teach you to sit while somebody comes in and says hi to you. Um, so teach the dog what you want her to do instead. Um, and if it doesn't get better, I would maybe talk to your vet and make sure that there was nothing that happened with the heat cycle. Um, make sure there's not a UTI, something else like that that's going on. Um, and then with submissive urination, you want to make sure that you're kind of setting yourself up, because usually when dogs are like acting like submissive, it can almost be a form of like appeasement. Um, so you want to make sure that you're not that you're doing this, but you want to make sure that you're being very like calm with your dog, um, being very upbeat with your dog, um, as in like not yelling, things like that. I was reading just today um, about how dogs can really feed off of our emotions. I'm actually working on a body language course for Pupford. So we've had to move it back a little bit since I've had COVID, um, but sometimes you can see calming signals in dogs, or you can see them acting submissive if you come home and let's say you're angry or upset. So let's say I've had a bad day and I come home and let's say I kind of act grumpy with my dogs. Well, I might see my dogs offering calming signals like looking away, lip licking, things like that. If you come home and you're angry or you've had a bad day, your dog might be like, "Oh crap! Okay, mom, dad's upset. Something's wrong. So I'm gonna submissive pee." So sometimes how we present ourselves can really have an effect on our dog. So I would watch those things as well, and just make sure um, that that you're not somehow contributing to her being scared. Not like I said, not that you are, but I don't know like what's going on. Um, but just come in and be super positive with your dog. Teach your dog something else to do, like let's have you sit. When I come home, let's have you sit, and I'll give you tons of praise, and I'll give you tons of treats, and that's how I want you to greet me instead of doing the pee. So, okay. How do you enforce commands outside during walks when others are around when he is used to doing commands inside our house? Um, okay, that is a great question. Um, long answer, so I'm going to grab a drink. So, think about when you're training your dog, and I have the same issue with one of mine. Um, when you're teaching a dog a brand new behavior, that's the first stage of learning, and that's acquisition, and that's where we teach them sit down, stay, leave it. Um, and then the second stage is fluency, which means the dog sits every time you ask them to sit. They go down every time you ask them to go down. The third is generalization. This is the hard one because this is where the dog does sit at home and at the store and at Petco and at the park. Dogs don't generalize. So just because they do something at home doesn't mean they are going to do it out in public. And I see this all the time in puppy class. So I'll have people come and they're like, "Oh my gosh, my dog does this perfect at home and now my dog's out of control." It's like, yeah, because you're at puppy class, there's other puppies, there's other people, there's other smells. And it's not that your dog is being stubborn or just not wanting to pay attention. It's that there's all these new distractions. So whenever I increase one criteria, such as doing it in a new environment, then I will use treats again. I actually don't start um, weaning off the treats until I get to stage 4, which is maintenance. I'm probably always going to give my dogs treats, so I don't mind giving them treats for training. It's like their paycheck. So if I ask them to sit 100 times and I never give them some kind of paycheck for that, like why would they do it? It's kind of like, if we never got paid, we'd probably stop going to work. So I'm probably always going to treat my dog somehow, whether it's praise, affection, treats, tug, you know, whatever's reinforcing for the dog. So sometimes you have to increase um, the value of the reinforcer whenever you're working in new environments. Another way that I like to think of it is, think about if you're doing sit in your home and in your living room, think of that as preschool. Then you go out in your backyard. So you're outside, but not as many distractions. So think about that as, now that's elementary school. Then you go out in the front yard where now there's cars going by, there's people going by. That's middle school. If you go to a park where there's a ton of people and tons of smells and distractions, that's going to be high school. If you practice at like Home Depot or Petco or the dog park, that could be college level. So think about like what level your dog's at, and you can't expect your dog to operate on a college level if they're still in preschool. So whenever I'm teaching, um, I'll use Jade as an example because she's being trained right now to be a service dog. And there are things that I know she knows. I mean, I know she does sit, and I know she can do it down. But when we practice in the grocery store, sometimes when I ask her to do it, she'll just look at me. So, but it's not that she's being defiant, it's that she either doesn't understand because she hasn't generalized it yet. So I will always take treats whenever I'm practicing in a new area. So, and I will start over as if she didn't know it. So I might even do a lure. So if we're, in the middle of the grocery aisle, I'll ask her to sit, and I'll use the treat lure to lure her into a sit. And I might even click and treat. I might lure her into a down, click and treat. The dogs will pick it up faster because then they'll be like, oh yeah, okay, I remember this that we've done before. So they will pick it up faster, but sometimes you do have to start over as if the dog doesn't know it, use treats, start with the lure or the shape or however you taught it to your dog in the first place. So hopefully that answers your question. Sometimes we just have to be really patient with dogs and just realize that they don't generalize. Um, so we have to make it easy for them. We have to make sure that we make sure that we reward and reinforce that behavior, and sometimes help them out and make it a little bit easier. So, okay. Um, Okay, my dog barks and howls when we're out of sight. We've tried everything to help his anxiety, CBD treats, giving him treats and Kongs, put music and TV, go on a run before I leave, leaving him in a room alone and walking in and out the door, and jingle the keys when we're inside. Also, nothing seems to work. Um, okay, so it sounds like your dog has separation distress or separation anxiety. Um, with that, you can try CBD treats, but many times, so with separation anxiety, there is an underlying stress issue, and it's like a human having a panic attack. So sometimes we need to get different medication on board other than just CBD treats. And I'm not saying that CBD doesn't work, but a lot of times, depending on how bad the separation anxiety is, um, you might have to go to your vet and get some anti-anxiety medicine while you work through the um, separation anxiety. I know that Pupford has a course on separation anxiety, so I would check that out because that's probably going to give you a ton of help and information on how to work through this. Um, but the short answer is at first, you can't leave, if your dog has true separation anxiety, you can't leave him alone. And it sounds like you're trying to like leave him with friends, um, and that doesn't help. So usually what I do is at first I will, um, use like a baby gate and have the dog on one side of the gate where they can still see me and just walk around, do my thing, do dishes, whatever, but there's a barrier there so the dog can still see me. Then I will start to do like partial obstructive view. So like I'll go part way around a corner, but not all the way, and then back. Um, and do that several times. And then I might go all the way around the corner for 1 second, come back, and do that over and over and over again before you go to 2 seconds. And then starting to desensitize your dog to things like walking to the door, but then turning around and coming back and go about your business. Walk to the door, touch the doorknob, turn the doorknob, open the door, and then close the door. So you're desensitizing your dog to cues that they pick up that you might be leaving. It can take 8 months to a year sometimes to treat separation anxiety. And you really have to go very, very slow, and only what the dog can handle. So, have you tried like doggy daycare, where you take the dog to daycare and so they're around other people, around other dogs, things like that? Um, but I would honestly maybe talk to your vet about some actual um, anxiety medication because sometimes just the medication alone isn't going to help. Um, and just the training alone, but together it's going to help a lot. So, and check out the separation anxiety course that Pupford put out. I haven't watched all of it, but it looks really good. The trainer is very, very knowledgeable when it comes to separation anxiety. So check that out. That's probably going to be a big help to you too. Okay, Julie, I'm going to write down a few more names. Julie Kaplan from Jennifer, you're very welcome. Linda Tanya, did I say that right? From California. Okay. Steph from New Jersey. Our neighbors on the other side of the privacy fence have two dogs. They get into barking wars with our dog. It's the only time I see her actively barking at something, and she's now obsessed with waiting for them to come to the section of the fence they always bark at. How do I get her to stop paying attention to them? So one thing that you can do, and I actually saw this on a webinar that I watched that a friend of mine did, and it was pretty dang amazing. They taught the dog a flight cue, which means to the dog, I'm going to turn 180 degrees and have the best party and treats ever. So, so when the dogs were barking at the fence, they used the words like retreat, and then the dogs learned, oh, I'm going to turn around, and you have to use a treat that your dog never ever gets any other time except when they hear the flight cue, and it has to be super high value, like um, boiled chicken, bacon, hot dogs, whatever. And then so that it's more reinforcing for the dog to turn and go away from the fence and have this super fun, um, it's like a party. So it's like, oh, good dog, come on, let's get your super yummy treat. And then they also did some nose work in their own yard. So, like taking a handful of treats or kibble and throwing them in the lawn and saying, go hunt. So the dog realized that when there were dogs barking on the other side, it's like, yeah, I can have more fun in my own yard, doing a flight cue and getting um, super yummy treats. So it's kind of like if I say the word Thanksgiving to you, this image pops into your head of like, oh yeah, we get turkey. It's kind of like that. And having a lot of fun stuff for your dog to do in their own yard. So, so this video of this dog, the dog actually ignored the dogs on the other side of the fence because he was having a fun time just like doing nose work in his own yard, playing games in his own yard, and so it was suddenly not fun to go bark at the other dogs anymore. Um, One thing that we always want to do is environmental management, which I know how hard it can be if you have neighbors with dogs on the other side of the fence. So I don't know if you can like talk to your neighbors, and if I mean if all the dogs are friendly, you might let the dogs meet so that it's not such a like, oh my gosh, there's dogs on the other side of the fence and I can't see them. If they can actually like meet and it's like, oh, okay, I know what's on the other side of the fence now, it's no big deal. You do want to make sure that the dogs are friendly though and can meet and things like that. Um, I also teach my dogs a quiet cue. So if there's a dog out or something and my dogs are barking at the fence, I'll go out and see what they're barking at, and then I teach them a quiet, and I'll just say, okay, I got it, quiet, and then I reward them for being quiet. If they're not quiet, I don't want them to practice that unwanted behavior of barking at dogs on the other side of the fence. So then I'll just bring them in, so that they don't continue to practice that behavior. Because what can happen is they can get really frustrated as well, um, because there's two dogs and they're always barking at each other, and I can't get to you, and I can't get to you, and then that frustration kind of builds up. So I would try one of those things. See if they can meet, um, or teach a quiet. Just bring them in when the other dogs are out. Um, okay, this is a really good question. Um, what do I do if my dog isn't really treat food motivated? So sometimes we have to do what's called a selection test, which means find out what motivates your dog. So I have a really good friend who's got two Malamutes, and you'd think that these dogs are food motivated for as many treats as she gives them, but they were in my reactive dog class and they could care less about food. They did not care about food at all. Um, So then we have to find what motivates them. Is it like praise? Like, do they love it when you just tell them what great dogs they are? Is it affection? Do they like chasing the ball? Do they like playing tug? Do they like doing nose work? So um, sometimes, so there's a dog that I work with that has a super high prey drive and loves, gets like so fixated on birds and squirrels. So when we're out walking, I will do some impulse control exercises and I'll have him sit and wait. And then when he waits, then I tell him, okay, go check it out. And I don't let him get to the birds or the squirrels. He's on a leash and the birds can fly away, the squirrels go up the tree. But I let him go check it out. He can go sniff the tree. So that's his reward. So when he focuses in on me or when he shows impulse control and does a good wait or things like that, then his reward is, okay, now you get to go chase the bird or you get to go sniff the tree where the squirrel is. So I use that as a reinforcer. Um, if you have a dog that likes to do nose work, um, then you could use that. So it's like, okay, um, we're going to walk 10 feet, and if you don't pull, then I'm going to release you to like, okay, go sniff. So um, you can either do like the go hunt, but if your dog's not food motivated, just say, okay, go sniff, and like let them go sniff the bushes, let them sniff the grass. So you can use environmental reinforcers as well. So sometimes you just have to experiment with different things and find out what it is that your dog really, really loves. It could be toys, it could be like nose work, just different things like that. So um, I've been really lucky in that I bulls and they're very, very food motivated. But I have worked with a lot of dogs that aren't food motivated, and it can be tough to find something that they are that will motivate them. Okay, how do you prevent separation anxiety when you have been quarantined at home so much since you've adopted your dog? Okay, great question. Um, Even if you're quarantined, you need to start leaving your dog home alone for a little bit of time. So at first I would like put your dog in a crate while you clean the house or do dishes. Then I want you to walk outside, go get the mail, come back in. Go outside, sit on the porch, read for 5 minutes, come back in. Um, Go to the grocery store for 30 minutes, come home. So you've got to start leaving the dogs alone and start with little bits of time and then build up. Otherwise, you will have separation anxiety and it's a lot harder to fix. So you definitely want to start leaving your dogs at home. I have been home with COVID for, it seems like forever. And I basically have been with my dogs 24/7. And I think they're about ready to disown me because I haven't been able to walk them or run them or anything like that. But sometimes I will, if it's a nice day, I'll even just go sit out on the front porch and read, just so they, get used to me leaving and coming back, things like that. So, yeah, you do want to start leaving them a little bit at a time. Put them in a crate, put them behind a baby gate. Just do some short little errands. Like I said, go check the mail, go outside and read. But put your dog in a crate, give them a toy, give them a bully stick, a stuffed Kong, something to do to keep them entertained while you leave and then come back. So um, even if you're quarantined and you can't go anywhere, I mean, just go for a walk down the driveway and back, or go for a walk down to the corner and back, or the grocery store real quick and then come back. And just start leaving your dog alone little teeny bits of time. Okay, let's see. Jane, thank you. It's just so tricky because sometimes he'll become reactive as we're going down the stairs just because he hears someone in the lobby. It is hard to get the timing right. So yeah, I would maybe start working on stuff just in the lobby, but from a distance. The other thing too that you can do is if he is starting to get reactive because he hears something, you can desensitize him to sound. So I have an app on my iPad. You can use YouTube works great, and play sounds of people talking, and start with a really low volume and play it. And as soon as your dog hears it, treat, 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 treat. And then when the sound stops, the treat stops. And then turn it up a little bit. Sound equals treat. Sound stops, treat stops. And then turn it up a little bit more. So you can start to desensitize your dog to what he might hear in the lobby before even working in the lobby. So work on the sound desensitization first, and then start working in the lobby, and then start to. And it is hard to get the timing right, but you want to make sure that you can always control distance. And again, you could put a bucket of treats out there and just, ask people to just walk by and toss treats to your dog so that your dog starts to associate strangers with treats. Hello, Emily. Let me write Emily down. Okay. There's 2 questions on here about biting, so I'm going to answer these both. Okay, so with puppy biting, I use what's called the 3-bite strike rule. So the first time, and remember, puppies explore the world with their mouth, and they're teething, and this is how they learn bite inhibition in the litter, is when they play with each other. So if your puppy bites you, the first thing you do is redirect them to a toy. So it's like, out, no, you can't bite me, but here is a Kong, or here is a rope toy, or here's something else that you can bite. And redirect to a toy. Then if your puppy leaves the toy and goes back to biting you again, then you want to calmly pick up your dog, put them in a crate with a toy for a 1-minute timeout. Okay? The reason that we use the toy is because we don't want the crate to be a punishment, and this is not a timeout for the puppy. This is a timeout for the human. but it's going to let the dog chill out for 1 minute, decompress, then let the dog out. If the dog goes back, right back to biting you again, that's strike three. They go back in the crate with a toy, cover the crate, and you're going to leave them in there for a longer timeout. Um, Basically, again, it's a timeout for you, but it gives the puppy a chance to decompress. One thing that I've started doing is I've been in people's houses where their puppies have drawn blood on me. So I've started redirecting to a snuffle mat because dogs are natural foragers, and um, it will get their nose engaged, it will get their brain engaged, it gives them something else to do. Um, my dog is dreaming. Here, let me see if I can. She's like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Daphne before. This is Daphne. She was dreaming and quivering. It was kind of funny. She just stopped. Um, so, um, oh yeah, I forgot what I was saying. So I will actually redirect a dog to a snuffle mat. So I'll get the snuffle mat out, put some treats or kibble in, and I'll put it down and say, go hunt. It redirects the dog's attention. It lets them forage for food. It'll tire them out. And you can do that. So, yeah, don't feel bad about giving the dog a timeout if you need a timeout, especially if your dog's drawing blood. Okay, let's see. Gotta get this scrolling again. For some reason, I have a hard time scrolling. There we go. Sonali, my 12-year-old and 7-month-old are constantly barking at each other. My 12-year-old has arthritis and does not want to play, and the puppy wants to play, so they just argue back and forth. How do I stop them barking at each other? So you do want to be an advocate for your older dog, because sometimes puppies don't take cues very well. So the 12-year-old might be very patient and being putting up with the 7-month-old. But if the 7-month-old is constantly at the 12-year-old and the 12-year-old has arthritis and doesn't want to play, then sometimes you need to step in and give the 7-month-old kind of a timeout. You also want to give the 12-year-old a safe place to go, so that dog just has his own crate or his own space or his own little place where he can go, where he doesn't have to deal with the puppy. And I would have to see the barking. It could be the 12-year-old is barking, like saying, okay, leave me alone, I don't want to play, you're being annoying. And the 7-month-old is barking because he's like, oh, I want to play, let's go play. So to stop the barking, I mean, they're just communicating with each other. So think about what you want them to do instead, and then maybe redirect them. I would redirect the 7-month-old to maybe, a snuffle mat, or let's play with a flirt pole, or let's play a game of tug, or let's play a game of go hunt. And I think then if the 7-month-old has something else to go do, 12-year-old is probably going to be very grateful and not bark because he's being left alone. So, and if she wants to be out with the puppy, then yeah. I mean, it could be a little bit harder, but um, she can still be out with the pup, but give the puppy something else to do instead of terrorizing the 12-year-old. So it's like, okay, you can be out, but the 7-month-old is going to go do this puzzle toy or is going to um, play, have the stuffed Kong or something like that. And then give the puppy something else to do other than antagonize the 12-year-old. Um, okay, Linda, my very active 5-month-old Brussels will be spayed next month with a cone to protect her stitches. Kenneling her won't work. Any suggestions? Um, so I I would want to know why kenneling won't work. Um, you're, if you have a cone um, to protect the stitches, then you should be fine. But you do still want to keep the dog fairly calm so that we don't tear those stitches. So it's important that the dog stays pretty calm for 10 to 14 days. So not a lot of running, jumping, things like that. If you can't kennel, you could try tethering your dog to something. Um, so, tethering to something strong with a bed for the dog to lay on, just to kind of keep them chill. Make sure the dog has lots of, like, some puzzle toys to do, stuffed Kongs, bully sticks, other things to keep um, her occupied during this time that she's going to be recuperating. Um, Staff. So true. I have friends whose dogs were traumatized from the dog park. Yep, that's why I just don't go. Um, okay, my dog is very scared during car rides. I've given her treats to get her to hop in. She now willingly hops on my lap only, even though she's clearly scared, and eventually starts drooling. Once she's in, she stops taking treats. Sometimes shakes or looks anxious. How do I teach her that she can relax? So, what I would do is kind of shape the behavior. So, first, get her in the car um, on your lap and maybe take some treats and just sit in the car. Then, when your dog is okay with that, then maybe just like start the car and then turn it off. Treat. Start the car, give treats, turn it off. Um, I had to do this with a client's dog once, and then we started the car, backed out, backed in, turned the car off. So you take the car ride and break it into little teeny pieces, and you treat each phase. Um, my dog Daphne, the one I just showed you, hates to ride in the car. I mean, she hates it. And I've had her since she was 6 months old. She rode in a car, and I don't know why she doesn't like it. But what I do with her is I have her ride in a crate because it helps her feel more secure, and she can't see like things whizzing by her, and there's not a lot of stimulation going on outside. And so she rides much better in the car in a crate. So it's kind of like her little safe spot. She feels secure in there. She can't see what's going on outside, and she rides much better. So I I would start to desensitize her to the different parts of riding in the car, like, first just getting in, um, and then closing the door, and then turning on and off the car, backing out, backing in, backing out the driveway, go for really short car rides. If your dog is scared at any point, then back up and work on an easier criteria before you advance. So before you go on to the next one, wait until your dog can do this and take treats. Remember, if your dog can't take treats, then they're not in a state of learning and they're too nervous. So, so you don't want to go ahead until you can get to that point to where your dog will take treats. And try the crate thing. It works with Daphne. That's the only way that I can get her to ride in a car. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me write down a couple more names. We've got Kelsey from Delaware. Sophie from Georgia. Okay. Diana, I love our two dogs. We always get that look from others when walking them because they're pit bulls. Our dogs would not hurt anyone. I'm glad they have each other to play with so we don't have to go to dog parks. Yep, welcome to my world. I have, let me see if I can show you Maddie. So this is Maddie. And Maddie, wait, say hi. So Maddie is a gentle giant. She's about 70 pounds. Her ears were cropped before I got her. And she's the kind of dog that if I pass people with kids, mothers will grab their kids and move them because they're afraid of the dog. I use Maddie in reactive dog classes. She's got amazing dog skills with other dogs. She's really good with kids, people, everything like that. And so she would not hurt a fly, but most people just look at her and think she's pretty scary looking. But yeah, same thing. I've got 3 pit bulls. None of my dogs would ever start anything with another dog. In fact, they're usually really good about like diffusing conflict with other dogs. And I just have my dogs play with each other. I don't feel like my dogs need to have 100 dog friends to be happy. We go hiking, we go on walks, they play with each other. And sometimes we have play dates with friends' dogs, and that's fine for them. Like, not every dog has to have 100 dog friends. So, yeah, I'm exactly the same way. I get the weird looks and things like that. So, you just get used to it. But it's just that people don't understand what awesome breeds they are. So, yeah, that's why I don't go to dog parks either. Okay, Kelsey, any tips for a barking puppy looking for attention? She's 4 months old and I'm working from home. I love giving her attention whenever I can, but it's tough sometimes when I'm on calls. So I like to ignore attention barking because if your dog is barking for attention and you give them attention, then you're reinforcing that behavior. So even if your dog comes up and is barking or bugging you for attention, and you say, "Hey, not right now. I'm on a call. I'm trying to get some work done." You're still inadvertently giving your dog attention. So um, you're reinforcing that behavior. So what I do, um, especially the past 2 weeks because I've been home with COVID, um, if I'm trying to do something on the computer and the dogs come up and want to be on my lap or they want attention, I'll give them love for a little, for a minute, and just give them some attention. Then I'll say, okay, now mom's got to work, so you guys go lay down, and I just give them something else to do. So I'll have them like go to their bed, go to their spot, but I give them something to do there. So like I'll give them a snuffle mat, or I'll give them a stuffed Kong, or give them something else that they can do other than, um, try to bug me while I'm working. Um, and yeah, if you're on a call and she's barking and nipping, if you can put her in a crate with something to do, that'll give her something else to do while you're on a call. Um, if you can, put her outside with a ball, or a tug toy or something like that. Um, you could always redirect her to a snuffle mat and let her sniff out some food or treats and let her work for her food. And you could do that while you're on a call. As far as tips for zoomies at night, I personally like seeing my dogs have the zoomies. I think it's adorable. And so, and especially when two of my dogs get them at the same time and they chase each other around. Um, Dogs are most active at sunrise and sunset. And so that's when they get the zoomies. Um, but they're just happy and they're having fun and they're getting energy out. So I let them do it, but I think it's adorable. So, I don't try to stop it. They're not hurting anything, and it tires them out. So I just personally let them do it. Um, if you don't want your dog to have the zoomies, I mean, you could redirect to something else like a flirt pole. So flirt pole, you can throw the toy out and then go in a circle and let the dog run, 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 chasing the toy on the end. And that's going to get some energy out and let him get some of the zoomies out. So you could you could try that, like something like a flirt pole, things like that. But I personally just let my dogs have the zoomies because I think it's cute. Um, One of our pit bull to 5 months puppies are a lot of work. Yes, they are. Um, I when I get on Facebook and answer a lot of your questions, I don't know how you guys do it. I usually adopt um, my dogs at, well, I've adopted at 2 years old, 4 years old, 5. I have made a couple of exceptions. Daphne was 6 months, but she had some medical issues, so I adopted her. Jade was a year, but I usually try to adopt my dogs a little bit older, but not because I don't love puppies, but because I'm a trainer and I'm working with puppies every single day. So when I get home, I don't want to work with my own puppies. I have my fill of it during the day. I get to play with puppies. It's great. But when I come home, I want my nice, chill, older dogs. Like Maddie's 11, Daphne's 3 now. Jade's about a year and a half, so she's still young and learning, but yeah, I just choose personally not to go through the puppy stage, but that's because I have to do it all day. So, um, let's see. Are these on the page to be able to watch later? I think so. Um, I think if you get on the Cupford Facebook group, I believe that there is a recording for this, but I'm not 100% sure, but I can find out. Um, so I think so. Um, oh, you just said leave it and my dog dropped her toy. Good job, man. I would praise your dog for that. That's awesome. Um, yeah, kudos to your dog for hearing that and dropping her toy. That's awesome. What clicker should you use? Really, anyone. I. It depends on the dog too. So some dogs, if they're a little bit more afraid of the sound, I'll use a softer one. I actually just bought some of those that slide on your finger, and I don't have one with me. It's out in my car. Um, but it slides on your finger, so it's just always in my hand, and then I can just click it really easy. Um, so that's what I've been using lately. But sometimes I need one that's a little bit louder, so I use the box clicker. Um, and then I had purchased some clickers at one time that have 3 different settings. So there's a loud, medium, and soft. So again, if a dog is afraid of the sound, I can make it softer. It doesn't, it really doesn't matter what kind of clicker that you use as long as you're using that distinct sound and so that your dog can hear it. I've used some clickers that are so soft the dogs can't hear them. So I like it to be a little bit louder, especially when we're outside and it's harder to hear. So I don't really have a preference on clickers. I just use whatever I have, um, and and yeah, lately I've been using one that just slides over my finger like a ring. Um, so I just have it, and then sometimes I use the box clicker. Um, okay, how do I get my 1 year puppy to stop nibbling at our clothes as though he's holding his when he's excited to see us? Um, okay, so for dogs that start to nibble at your clothes, um, I would interrupt and just say like, you can't chew on my clothes. Here's your toy instead. Because remember, with puppies, um, everything's fair game to them because they explore the world with their mouth. So we have to teach them what is and is not okay to chew on. So if they're chewing on your clothes, you can interrupt, redirect. If your dog doesn't want to let go of your clothes, then I would teach a trade. So it's like if if the dog is chewing on my sleeve right here and won't let go, I might say, "Oh, look at what I have. This let's pretend like this is a bully stick, not a pencil." Be like, "Oh, look what I have. I have this yummy bully stick. If you drop my sleeve, I'll give you this." And I'll say, "Drop it." And then as soon as they drop the sleeve, I'll yes or click, and then give them the bully stick. So I'll teach them how to do a trade. So it's like let go of the clothes, and I'll give you something better that you can chew on, um, and you won't get in trouble for chewing on this. Nicole, hello Nicole, you've been here before as well. I love it when We have all of you return Facebook users. Okay, my 3-month-old puppy is biting really hard and drawing blood. I'm walking him daily 2 to 3 times a day. I'm playing with him and keeping him outside and active. Okay. So exercising a lot isn't really going to do anything for the puppy biting, because that's just naturally what puppies do. It's how they explore the world. It's how they exercise jaw. It's how they learn bite inhibition. So again, I have a 3-strike rule. So the first time puppy bites you, you redirect to a toy. So it's like, oh, can't bite me, but here is your rope toy, or here's a Kong, or here is something else that you can chew on. And see if you can get them interested in a toy and teach them that that's what they can chew on. Then the second time, if they go back to biting you, then you calmly pick them up with a toy, put them in a crate for like 1 to 2 minutes. So the reason we put them in there with a toy is to give them something to chew on, and we don't want the crate to be a punishment. So put them in the crate, 1 to 2 minutes, and then let them out. If they go back and bite you a third time, calmly pick them up with their toy, put them back in the crate, cover the crate, and they get a long time out. And again, this is not a punishment, and it's not a timeout for the dog. It's a timeout for the human. It's to give you a break from the puppy biting, give the puppy something to do inside the crate, and that's kind of like strike 3, and then we're going to cover your crate, and you're going to get a nap or a longer chill time. Okay, and then with the family being scared of them, you kind of, sometimes you have to explain to them that that's just what puppies do. If you have small kids, what I teach kids is, if you run and scream and flail your arms, then the puppy thinks you're playing, and they're just going to keep doing it. So I teach kids to like be a big strong oak tree and stand still, hold in your branches, and look up at the sky. And then don't engage with the dog. Now, as a parent, you might have to step in and be, if the puppy's like biting clothes and biting ankles and things like that, then you might have to step in and say, hey, we're not going to do that. Let's go in your crate with a toy. But to teach kids the right way so that they're not running and screaming, because to a dog, a high-pitched bark is an invitation to play. So when kids have high-pitched voices and they're running and screaming, then to the dog, they just think that they want to play. So that's why I teach them to be like big, strong oak tree, hold in your branches, and stand really, really still and ignore the dog. And then if the dog continues, then you've got to step in, put the dog in a crate. Okay, my German Shepherd is almost 9 months, and she's still eating her poop. Usually I have her run back in the house, but sometimes she eats it, especially if she is with my husband or daughter. What should I do? So my cute little dog Daphne here is a poop eater. I'll show you her again. This is Daphne. Daphne does not get to lick my face anymore because she eats poop. What I have to do with her is I actually have to go out and pick up the poop right when She either goes or one of my other dogs goes. Because if I don't pick it up right away, then she'll eat it. So you can, you can teach like a leave it, or usually if I catch her, I'll be like, oh, yuck, that's icky, leave it. And then I reward her with something better, like, oh, if you leave that poop, here, I'll give you a nice piece of hot dog. With Daphne, though, I think it's really hard to get something that she's going to like more than poop because it's like her delicacy. I don't get it. Um, but yeah, the easiest thing to do is just to pick it up. And sometimes I'll even take the dogs out, or at least Daphne, I'll take her out on a leash so that if she poops or the other dogs poop, I can pick it up before she can get to it. Because if she gets to it, she's going to eat it. So I just have to pick it up before that happens. That's the best, that's the easiest way to do it, other than teaching a leave it. I know you can, there are other things like put Tabasco sauce on it, so if they go to eat it, they don't like the taste, and then they'll stop eating it. You can, you can try something like that. Um, but yeah, some dogs are just more prone to eat poop. I've had two of my 8 pit bulls have been poop eaters. Um, and yeah, I don't get it. I just try to pick it up as soon as I can. Um, okay, I've got time for a couple more questions. How do we get our puppy to let us know when she needs to go out? Um, so one thing that I like to do is make sure that you go out the same door every time when your puppy's learning. So always like go out the back door and use the words like, do you need to go potty? Come on, let's go potty, and then go outside. You can also teach your dog to ring a bell, so that you say, do you want to go potty? Let's go outside and go potty. And then um, put your hand like behind the bell and teach your dog touch. So when your dog touches your hand and the bell rings, then you go outside and um, go potty. Um, and if she'll go out, but she'll wait for you to walk with her to the grass. It could just be, young and doesn't want to go out by herself yet. I think, she eventually will, but even try just going outside with her and then just say, okay, go outside, go potty, and then wait for her to go out and do her thing. If she doesn't, I would walk her around on leash and then praise her when she goes potty outside on leash. And then I think eventually, as she gets older and gets a little bit more confident, then you'll be able to take the leash off and have her go out on her own. Okay, let's see. I need to scroll. Hi, Monique. Monique's another one. Been here before. Okay. I have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 5. Our lab pit is 4 months. The puppy is fine with the husband, myself, and 11-year-old. The pup is always barking, chasing, nipping at my 9 and 5-year-old. My 2 youngest also have ADHD. If that makes a difference, what can I do to get the pup to not corner the 2 younger kids? Again, how are the 2 younger kids acting around the dog? Because remember, if young kids are running and screaming and flailing their arms like they're just being kids, but to a dog, that is an invitation to play. So, um, so you could teach the pup a leave it if he's like cornering the two younger kids. Teach him something else to do, um, like come sit, focus on me, and I'll reward you for that, or go to your place. Um, Also, you could teach the kids like, okay, I'm going to have you guys, and it's really fun for me to try to get kids engaged in training, because if I can get the kids engaged, then they have so much more fun. So we'll actually practice this, and I'll say, okay, if a dog starts barking at you or biting at you, do you run and scream, or what do you do? And then we actually practice being a tree, folding in our branches, looking at the sky. And I have the kids practice, and I tell them, now you can help with the training by doing this when the dog is chasing you. Um, so yeah, if kids run, dogs are going to chase them. Um, so I think if you can get the kids involved in the training and teach them what you want them to do, and then also teach the dog what you want the dog to do instead. So, um, instead of chasing the two younger kids, teach a really good recall, have the dog recall to you, and then you praise the dog for coming to you instead of running after the kids, if that makes sense. Um, okay, let's do a drawing. Um, Sorry, I'm not going to be able to get to all these questions. Hi, Erin. Um, Erin's another one that's been here. Um, so I'm not going to be able to get to all these questions. Maybe next week when I'm not coughing and feeling better, I'll try and go 2 hours just so I can get everybody's questions answered. We'll do a drawing at like halfway through, and that way, if people don't want to stick around for the whole thing, they don't have to. My voice is about going, and I'm going to start coughing. So I'm going to just do the drawing, and I apologize if I didn't get to your question. If you want to put it on the Facebook group, I will try and get on and answer some more questions tomorrow on Facebook um, if I can. So anyway, tonight our winner for the free training treats. I'm just mixing all these up so I can draw one. Is Jennifer Strom from Maryland. So congratulations, Jennifer from Maryland. If you email Pupford, it's hello@pupford.com. Let them know what brand of training treats that you like. They will send you a free bag, and I will also email them and let them know that you are our big winner for tonight. And again, if you guys want, I am more than happy next week to try and stay on 2 hours. I should feel better by then and have my voice back. And we'll do a drawing halfway through, and then I can stay on and answer as many questions as I can. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and we will see you next Wednesday, same time, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.